And welcome to another episode, another show of Real Live with DC Honey, Mick Fabulous, and Miss Nancy C. Of course, we have another great show for you tonight. Thank you so much for tapping in. And make sure you hit that share button so that your friends and family can tap in as well. It's time to start the show. I'm so glad you're in the house, and let's go.
Real Live Show. DC Honey. Come on and chill for a while, it's gonna be lovely. It's the Real Live Show with DC Honey. We push it forward, it's impossible to go back. And please know that the mentality is pro-black. Laughs and cheers in the atmosphere. Classic hits, the music you be glad to hear. From the old to the new, yeah, this show was for you. And everybody striving to grow and improve. We glad to be alive, raise your glasses to the sky. If your energy is negative, you have to say goodbye. Nothing sad or basic, we past the hating. Great imaginations, collaborating. The vibes all positive, this is a must. Multi-million-dollar ideas we build and discuss. Take a listen, you ain't gotta be socially distant. Even though we different, we all are gifted. With blessings overflowing, it's all love we showing. The party here will not stop and keep going. The queen is controlling all records to spin. Bet your money on her, she expected to win. She blends off with the rugged, I swear you gotta love it. Verse from Mark Math and beat from Reggie Ruckus. Now that you tuning in, it's something you'll do again. Cause the music make you feel high. Now it's getting real live.
That's right. Now it's getting real live. I'm your host, DC Honey, and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Real Live is that social media talk show that has the best in celebrity interviews from community leaders, as well as the hottest social media news and all those sizzling new releases. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As usual, we have a jam-packed show, and we're just going to go ahead and get started and get into it by welcoming my lovely co-hosts, Mick Fabulous and Miss Nancy C. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you. How are you, lady?
Yes, we miss you.
Yeah, I'm all right. My ears are still ringing, so maybe that means we all gonna get some money. I don't know, but
I receive that.
I need it.
I did play the numbers today, so I'll let y'all know. I'll let y'all know if it pans out. We have a great show again. And my wonderful co-hosts again are joining me. We have great conversations on and off the air. I was chatting with Mick Fabulous a little bit earlier about this weekend. It was Mother's Day, but also we were talking about checking on your people. And we were discussing how there are certain people in your friends group that are the checkers. You know, these are people that you can guarantee will always check on everybody else. But what happens when those people need checked on? You know, a lot of times their phones don't ring. People don't think to check on them because they're used to, you know, the checkers being the checkers, not the checker.
It's easy to get neglected.
Yeah,
you're always the one that's checking on people. So I used to do a whole lot of checking in on people, and then I just slacked up doing it just because you don't check on me, I ain't gonna be constantly checking in on you. So
I hear you.
Sometimes you have to show that. And a lot of times, and I could say for the ones that I do check on that they don't feel the need, sometimes it just have to be brought to their attention. Because you can always be the recipient, but you don't always know how to give. But a person can only pour out so much, right? And we're all human, so we all go through the same things. So it's only, I think, until it's brought to the attention that they can see, damn, I need to check on, I can do that as well. Because it's like we're in a marathon. I'm passing the baton, even though I'm giving. You don't just take and hoik, you have to spread it too. And sometimes we don't know that or even know how to. So we're all helpers one to another. So when you get something and you learn it and you see, But then it could be a woe is me, and you go into that pity space, But
Yeah.
only until you know better is when you do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm one of those people that I don't pick up the phone and check on people. I have to be reminded. Like my boyfriend will remind me, "Hey, have you talked to your uncles? Hey, have you talked to this and that?" Because I'm in my shell all the time. So a lot of times, as a moody artist and a Cancer, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to see the outside world. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to be like this, So sometimes I need people to snap me out of it and be like, "Hey, you might need to call such and such." And I don't take it, you're wrong. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to pick up the phone and make that call. So I'm just standing with the other folks, on the other side, guilty. We have a comment. Let me bring this. This is Aunt Kathy. I hope she don't. She said, "Yes, so truly, I normally send a message every day to friends and family. Every morning, Aunt Kathy, I get it." Yep, she sure does. "Sometimes I get busy and unable to send my daily message. It's so nice that one of my friends sent me a message today asking if everything was okay because they didn't get their message today. Her message was really appreciated." That's Aunt Kathy.
Yeah, that's cool when somebody can appreciate your efforts. But you get turned off easily when you're constantly checking in and nobody says thank you for checking in. So, yeah.
Really noted. I
They may
promise.
say thank you, but then when when you're the giver and you're so used to giving, right? And you sit back, and then there was those times that you go down in that well.
Yeah.
And then you look like, I can feel when someone is going through something. I make that call. "I thought of you today. You okay? Da 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 da." But it doesn't come back that way. And then that's when the enemy starts to mess with your head. See, yep, they could take it. Can't nobody never give you. But sometimes if they don't know, if a person don't know, how do they know what to do? Everybody doesn't have that. So you can't hold anyone accountable, because only until you know is when you do better.
Yeah. We all just get so busy. I think that's just how our society is set up. We're so self-absorbed with our own BS, our own stuff, that we do tend to, be so overwhelmed and consumed with what we got to do and what's on our plate that we forget to reach out.
Now, I will say this. If there's a dude who's constantly messaging you what you're doing every day, and he don't have nothing else to say, I'm purposely ignoring that. So that's not a
that don't count, right?
I'm on purpose with that because I'm tired. I don't want to keep
not the WID though. Come on, that's all you got. You ain't even got time to spell the whole thing out.
Every day.
Hey, he's consistent. That brother.
Yeah, this is true.
Count on him.
Well, look, see, it's always a flip side. You get the ones that's coming at you, and you be like, "Stop." Them you don't get none. What's wrong with them? We ain't never. The flesh is never, ever, ever satisfied. Yeah. So why don't you just say, "I appreciate your time, but you're doing it a little too much. It's starting to be overwhelming. Slow it down." A person will only know. That's why it's communication. If you don't have that communication, how will he know? He thinks he's trying to get your attention, but all you have to do is say, "Listen, babe, I know you're there."
Well, we got to get to our special guest, but we have a brother. I do want to share his comments. All right, this is Brother Eric. He said, "I send messages out every morning. One person said I was late one morning. I just slept in a little later that morning. Folks do appreciate the positive daily messages, though. Thank you, Eric, and don't stop. Don't stop sending out those positive messages." All right. Well, we have a really positive guest coming up. I'm really excited to bring him on. He is extraordinary. He's a true powerhouse in the music industry. His career is nothing short of remarkable. This sensational guest has been setting the music world ablaze. After years of being Grammy recognized, put on ballots, and nominated, he's worked alongside legends. I'm talking Amy Winehouse, Dionne Warwick, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Lionel Richie. In 2023, he joined the prestigious ranks of Grammy voting member class. In the past couple of years, he's dropped hits like America's Inception, Can't Escape the Rhythm, One of Those Nights, and Worth the Fight. He spent last year performing across the country and has no plans to slow down in 2024. Even during the pandemic, ladies, he stayed busy releasing She Can Get It with Jelly Bean Johnson, Tony M, and Monte Moore in the summer of 2020. He also launched his IG Live podcast, the Planet 12 podcast, featuring guests like Trevor Pinnock from O-Town, Vanessa Williams, and Brenda K. Starr. In October 2021, he released the phenomenal Mega Dope Maniac and his track Party Like We Used To, featuring Roger Ortega, that kind of takes us on a nostalgic journey back to the sounds of the 90s. Tonight, we are honored to have him with us. His story is one of perseverance, talent, and an undying love for music. And let me tell you, this brother is talented. If you haven't checked him out yet, please join me in welcoming the Grammy-recognized, multi-talented artist and performer, Lawrence Worrell. That's a tongue twister. How you doing?
Wow. Now that's an intro if I ever heard one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's up, ladies? Thank you for having me. So much. And let me just say, it's good to see my people. I love when I do. You know, I ain't gotta say it. It's real nice. It's for everybody, but when it comes to my people, I get even more excited. So for
Family
me,
love.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love that show.
Yeah.
you know, the greatest R&B group of all time. My big brothers of 20-something years. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
We're all Anita lifers here, so you're in good company.
That's I ain't gotta say nothing else.
Yeah. So you, as we stated in the beginning, you've worked with a lot of legends like Amy Winehouse, Dionne Warwick, Earth, Wind, and Fire. In your opinion, how have these collaborations with such iconic artists elevated you either personally or musically, or both?
Well, I mean, I'll say it like this: for me being a young kid from Crown Heights, Brooklyn, St. Mark's Avenue, you know, where you're not taught that unless you were born in a certain structure where people, you know, influence you and poured into you, it seemed highly unlikely. So for me, every single time I work with any one of the legends, especially the ones who I grew up really studying, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, like Dionne Warwick, for me on a personal level, I still have to go like this sometimes.
Yeah.
Still, because the thing is that, and the fact that we still have him here, I mean, Dionne is now inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and thank God she's here to get her flowers.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's personal with me because even some of the legends who I worked with who are no longer here, and then some of the ones who are still here who I've been able to work with, you know, as you see, Sinbad is on his feet now. You know, we were Sinbad's backing band for a few years. That's our big brother. And to see him on his feet after everything that he's went through, it made me cry. I'm like, thank God we still have him here. And thank God when we worked with him, and even before we worked with him, he's in my top 10 favorite comedians. So for me, it's rewarding on so many different levels in terms of that. So for me, honestly, it's just about the gift of being able to work alongside the icons that we still have here that are still, you know, making things happen, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Your music can't really be placed in one genre, in my opinion. You have the funk, you have the R&B, you have the hip hop, you have some techno. Do you consider your unique sound to be a blend of these, or do you find yourself transitioning between these genres as you see fit?
If the answer was on a school test, all of the above.
Got you.
Pretty much. I think, you know, the thing is, I have a saying, don't put me in a box or I'll break that shit. Like I'm one of them kind of
yeah.
I refuse to, and you know, and the thing is, especially when it comes to Black artists in particular, this is the reason why Prince and Stevie are my top two idols above everyone, because Prince and Stevie, you know, same thing. They knew no limit, and no matter how much of a category that, you know, Billboard or whoever tried to put them in, they wasn't having it. You know what I mean? The more I understood Prince, the more I understood Stevie. It made sense. I'm like, see, because they weren't putting in these boxes. They wasn't allowing people to say one thing is obvious. Okay, because you're a Black artist, you have to be R&B. I'm like, but Stevie's done pop, he's done reggae. Same thing with Prince. And I figured, as I became older, around 8, 9, and 10, and then when I discovered Parliament Funkadelic, who was another entity that can't be put in a box, even though they're the proprietors that made funk a genre. James Brown created the funk, Sly and the Family Stone diversified the funk. But Parliament Funkadelic is the ones that made funk a genre and religious damn near. So pretty put that all in one box. Everybody else came in between all of that. So they didn't allow themselves to get put in the box. Funkadelic is the first heavy metal rock band that was black, period. Before, if it wasn't for Funkadelic, we wouldn't have Living Color, Fishbone, Bad Brains, Lenny Kravitz. That all came from George Clinton being so progressive and not just being held in just the funk realm, but because George did everything. George got country songs. George has done pop. He's had orchestrations and different quirky things that came out, and the funk and the rock and roll was always maintained. So if you look at those three entities, plus you add these guys in there, because you know it's one thing. All my primary heroes were all adults. So the thing is, I'm 8 years old studying all this deep stuff because you know my family are legends, as you know. And the thing is that, but it doesn't resonate until you see someone that looks like you. And even though they're older than me, seeing kids that dress like me and my brothers and was doing what we was doing, you know, pop locking and singing and rapping and whatnot. But New Edition, it just added more to the. When I saw Candy Girl, I'm like. Because we were doing the same thing, but you know, it's again when you see someone that looks like you. And I used to tell Ralph this all the time as we got close. I'm like, to see all y'all guys in that moment, you have to understand. For me, as a you know, while the girls were screaming and the guys were hating, me and my brothers were studying. I'm like, look, if we're gonna get the girls screaming for us, we got to be part of what we do. So when you put all of that in there, along with Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, and Morrissey the time, and people who I looked up to, that pretty much led me to create the hybrid that I have. So again, you know, transitioning from genre to genre is like breathing to me because I lived it.
Talk about that experience with George Clinton. And there was a 420 Funk Mob, correct?
Yeah, man.
How did that experience influence your musical style and really your approach to performance on the stage?
Well, I mean, let's go back a bit. I mean, you know, I created Planet 12 because of my love for Parliament Funkadelic. Because like I told y'all before, between the ages of, let's say, 5 and 12 years old, my musical worlds were colliding at an alarming rate. And again, going back to my family's my Juilliard for music. So everybody had a section that I had to kind of go with. My older sister was into new wave and punk rock and reggae because all she did was West Indian guys. So that's all I heard in her room. And then, of course, you know, my grandfather, Sam Bluesman Taylor, being a legend. So B.B. King would be at the house. Albert Collins would be at the house. You know, this was all colliding. And then long live my late uncle Showbiz. He brought the hip hop because he was hanging out with Kumo D when Kumo D was still part of Treacherous 3. So that's when the rap started, the mix of all this. And Parliament Funkadelic, that's definitely solely blamed upon my legendary uncle Tony T. Funk Austin, who played with James Brown and Kool and the Gang. So when I discovered Parliament Funkadelic, all I knew at that point was Atomic Dog. But once he gave me the Mothership Connection album, that has We Want the Funk and Handcuffs and all that kind of stuff. All the deep P Funk fans that know the albums, you know, what I noticed about P Funk is P Funk shared my love for science fiction. That was my favorite thing growing up. I'm a Trekkie. I love Star Trek. I got all the episodes. I love Captain Kirk. I'm into Star Wars. It's my kid. And of course, I'm a Marvel DC head because all that Marvel DC stuff is based around science fiction. So my love for that. And Carl Sagan is my favorite writer. So for me, it was a no-brainer. When I saw P Funk and I saw how George, you know, y'all know that album cover. He's on a UFO. He's in space, you know, very skinny George. UFO, and then you flip the backside of the album cover, the UFO was in the hood. That spoke to me because one part of me is eccentric and quirky and different from all else, but I'm still Brooklyn hood and I'll fuck you up. So that had a my street resume of who I was because I'm from the street. You know, I just ain't no pretending or trying to fight for street cred. I'm from Crown Heights, St. Mark's Avenue, Brooklyn, Albany Project. So that was one part of me that existed. So hip hop gave me my talking voice, but R&B, gospel, funk, and rock and roll and all the other musical genres, that was already speaking to me as that. And Parliament Funkadelic was the nucleus for that. And so the more deeper I got into them, the more I began to understood why Stevie was Stevie, why Prince was Prince, and why all the other groups that kind of followed in the vein. And of course, Digital Underground, because Digital Underground at that point was the only group besides us that was kind of using the P-Funk formula in their hip hop shit, but we thought we were better. You know, rest in peace. I had a chance. Me and him became close before he died, but we was like, we better than them guys. We could do, you know, we had the essence of it. So that really played a role. And I told my mother at 12 years old, I'm gonna meet him one day. I'm gonna become a P-Funk member. And lo and behold, about around the ages 23, 24, you know, it happened. You know, long story short, George gave me my first major check as a producer because they love my voice and my production so much. You know, I started getting offers to be a part of 420 Funk Mob. But even before that all happened, George's drummer, Gabe Gonzalez, put me in his band Enema Squad and made me the front guy because it was all P-Funk derivative. All those things, you know, P-Funk is one big ass tree with a bunch of branches on it. Everybody has their own group. You know, Bootsy Rubber Band had his own. You know, Bernie, you know, Jimmy and the Tack Heads. There's a whole lot of stuff. So anything that you remotely see me do in my approach to my image and different things, you will always see a P-Funk influence one way or the other.
I need to let the people know about you, those who have not heard yet. I'm going to play a little clip because I want people to understand who Law is. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Right. I'm just trying
just a little clip. And, you know, I'm not enough said. Hold on. I just want you guys to get a taste of his talent. Check this out. Check this out. Yeah, I know I love my clips.
That makes no sense.
I thought we was talking to a light. Hold on, let me get on the big screen. Huh?
That makes no sense.
Who y'all think we was talking to today? Oh.
No.
Wow.
Light on? Not today. We talking about Law. We talking about Law family. I thought you knew.
Wow.
Right there.
The pass on it. Wow.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Thank you.
For those who don't understand, when I say it makes no sense, that means that stuff was lit. And I'm saying stuff because I'm not cussing today. So that stuff was lit. Okay. I love string instruments. That makes no sense.
Wow.
I'm a string lover.
Behind that too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a great story behind that. So what you just saw in that clip, that night, I believe that was probably 2014, 2015. That night, we have become a part of this thing called the Raw Awards. It's based in New York. And, you know, we have been having the fans vote, different things like that. So this was the night of the actual award ceremony. So I was nominated for Musician of the Year. So, you know, my own little habitat, because we performed that night. We had, you know, every artist had a 10-minute set or some shit like that. It was like a 10-minute thing. And that's in my house. I literally was just testing my amp to make sure that my sound was right, because I didn't know what kind of they had there at the show. So I just figured, my amp sounded kind of nice. Let me just film it just to have it on deck. And believe it or not, that night I won. I won the Musician of the Year.
Wow.
Crazy
Yeah.
because in the between the whole thing of it, the only thing I remember is after we hit that last note, I think that's when I went into the whole James Brown thing after I did a solo, and I did like 3 splits in a row, whatever the case may be. All we heard was law, law, law. I'm like, wow. So that reminds me of that night. So every time that clip gets a lot of love, I'm very grateful and humbled by that, because I was just messing around making sure my sound was right. I didn't have no clue of whether I was going to win or not, but I was just happy to be performing on stage, and the fact that I was nominated was good enough for me. So
excellent. Yeah. You're also featured in a documentary. I think this is the Amy documentary.
Yes.
About Amy Winehouse, award-winning. How did it feel to be part of such an intimate and impactful portrayal of her life and her career?
I mean, it's always emotional for me, especially this week, because the thing that they're calling a movie, and yeah, I said that, so quote me on that. It amazes me how these guys can go and make a movie and not contact any of the band members, especially me and Xylon, who created all the choreography and sang backup for Amy. They didn't contact anybody about this movie coming out on Friday, so I felt very slighted. So did some of the other band members as well. But the Amy documentary that became Grammy award winning and won an Oscar too as well. I was just thankful that they were able to show the clips of the first TV performances in America that I was a part of. And it's emotional for me because me and Amy were pretty damn close during that short period of time. And, just the fact that she's still being honored in every way. It's not a day that goes by, not a show that I do, somebody will come up to me with an Amy tattoo and things that, and it just brings back a lot of memories. They do all the choreography, some of these tribute bands, we're trying to see if they did all our steps right and stuff like that. And it's a reminder. But to be a part of the documentary, I was very happy about that. More so, they didn't interview me, but they just showed the clips with us with the performances that really made Amy shine even brighter than what she was already doing beforehand. So I'm forever grateful for that. I miss my little sister so much.
Mm-hmm.
You shared the stage with a lot of impressive artists, Amy Winehouse included, but also Rihanna, Alicia Keys, Bruno Mars, Neo. Which of those artists were most electrifying to share the stage with? And I have to say, you're pretty electrifying on the stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who electrified you on the stage, which is a tough task?
Yeah, that's kind of that's a real tough one, because all those artists you mentioned, I love in various degrees, and and I work with them at different capacities. For some of those artists, I was either the opening act or the backing musician or the backup singer. So it can go either way. So if I had to pick from any of those aspects, the most electrifying for me, I would have to say, it's going to bug you out, I would definitely have to say Lionel Richie, my big brother.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
You know why? Because Lionel's in my top 10 as far as influence as singer goes. And I worked with him 4 years in a row in Hawaii. And then the one time we actually got to do it there, he came up on stage with us. He's like, Lord, you want to sing all night long with me? I'm like, no, I'd rather and just to watch Lionel, Lionel's going to be 74 this year, I think. And I spoke to him a couple of days ago. Like Lionel, he's still, him and Jeffrey Osborne, man, those guys in their 70s, and they still got the energy. They work the stage. And to me, that's electrifying to be of that caliber of acres, and with respect to everybody else, a lot of 70-year-olds ain't moving like that.
Yeah.
I don't see that his little thing that he does. I'm like, he's still doing that at the 30s. I know his whole walk and everything, and it's just and he's not. And I've seen him. I remember I hung out with him before the show, so I know, like, he literally just relaxed and in his mind, he's not doing anything extra. I said, well, that's what happens when you're pacing in that. And definitely, of course, without question, Mars Day and the Time, because those are Minneapolis uncles, and I've been on stage with them, and I'm probably the only person male wise that Mars Day actually let on stage to perform with him, because Mars don't let nobody on his stage. So the fact that he let me on there to do Jungle Love with him, because I knew I knew the whole routine. He's like, well, Lord knows the whole routine. So I'm gonna have him up there, and that made a difference in my world, being that, me and my little brother Pepper used to win talent shows imitating Mars Day and Jerome back when we were kids. So to have that moment, and then to now, you know, opening up for him and working with Jelly Bean and Montimo and all the members of the time, and I've got records with them, producing with them. You know, it's just, again, like I told y'all earlier, I have to pinch myself sometimes. It's very rewarding to me, again, to be working not only with people who I admire, but people who are my direct heroes, and of course, Mars Day and the Time being even huger influence on us. So
yeah. I know Mick Fabulous wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Mick Fabulous.
Well, you did answer one of my questions, because I was going to say, who did you really want to work with? So you already told us Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
So knowing that music is that's the universal language. I don't care how you put it out. That's the universal language. It exudes, it heals, it just meditates, it just does all of that. So what's your next elevation? Seeing how you come at this point right here and the things you've done, what do you see yourself doing now? What's your next elevation?
In the words of the incredible, iconic Ozzy brothers, there's still more work to do. And
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's so many different. I mean, you know, becoming a Grammy voting member was you know, that happened last year. You know, that was the most rewarding, because considering years before that, you know, I had been Grammy recognized and nominated. But the crazy thing is that the people who I already began working with and people who I'm close to in the industry, like Layla Hathaway, Corey Henry used to be my next door neighbor. Him and my daughter are very close. It's so interesting, because now that I'm officially a part, I say it's crazy because I've always felt official anyway because of the reputation. You know, my motto is resume and reputation is everything in this business. So I already had that. So now to officially attain that through paperwork and do, you know, being part of the Grammy board, it just opened so many doors for me teaching. I just did a Prince symposium. It's actually my I did a Prince symposium. Then shout out to my homegirl D'Angela Duff. You know, it was my fourth year doing it. We were celebrating 40 years of, Purple Rain and Ice Cream Castles and Shirley E's Glamorous Life. And of course, they picked me for the 4th year in a row because they've seen my work and my resume, and then I can break it down artistically from a street perspective, but also from a musician perspective, because they get the fact that I've worked with some of the people that were a part of it, including Shirley, because I worked with her as well. So the thing is, you know, to have that, I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of those kind of things. People kept asking me, how come you don't do more? I said, ask them. I'm like, they know my number. I've been out here long enough. You know, certain things, in my opinion, certain things you don't have to audition for. If you have enough leverage out there, like I have, then it shouldn't be that way. And then people make it seem like it's so difficult to find. I said, no, I'm not hard to find. I said, it's what people choose to want to include. Some people don't like to hear the raw truth about certain things. And I'm definitely not one of those guys that bite his tongue. I'm notorious for it. If outside the music, I've said a lot of shit that people be like, and I'm like, yeah, I said, who gonna check me? I'm like, when you have a resume and a reputation like mine, it's nothing much more you can say, because I own me. And when you own you, there's a certain power in that nobody can attain. Like y'all, you know, y'all own this platform that y'all have. So who gonna tell you what? At the end of the day, y'all choose to put that in the form where people can see it. And I'm the same way when it comes to me. Like I plays no games when it comes to that. So when I speak on it, you know, I expect people to listen. So of course, I'm looking forward to doing more of those kind of things where people just want to hear the raw truth while being educated at the same time. It's a natural part of me. You know what I mean? So having that ability to do it when I'm not touring the world or in the studio or working on projects and things like that is just allowing me and my homegirl Nicole Ortiz, who I'm working on her album now. She was talking about doing a project that's going to be beneficial for some of the kids in New York and Jersey. And I said, well, when I slow down for a couple of months, I want to be a part of it. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that too, and working with children as well. So
okay, beautiful. Dealing with the future, cool. Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a Scorpio thing. What you think?
You know,
we just driven,
ambitious. Yeah, I mean, look, we're the masters of our sensuality and sexuality. There is a difference. People don't know. I know you know, but people don't know the difference between sensuality and sexuality. So that part, and that section, yes, we are fiercely driven. We're ambitious. He plays no games. We're very upfront. We go to war for the people that we love and people that we ultimately protect. And the thing is that I just feel like we're very misunderstood sometimes because people don't understand that with the fake shit. Like we really don't. You know, me and Ronnie DeVoe had this talk. You know, Ronnie's a Scorpio too, so that's
Right.
that was my first met him way before, years before we even met each other like that. I understood him more than anybody else. I'm like, it's demeanors. When you hear that story about the Home Again tour, when Ron had to get at Bob, I'm like, I said, oh, that's very true. I said, because Bobby Brown even said when the light skinned guy in the group has to yell and say shit. He said that. No, he said that's when I knew I went too far with certain shit. He said, because that's how we are. Like we give people chances to be real and be who they are. But the minute we find discrepancies and fall and we tell you about your shit, you either have to accept when we speak it or just stay the hell away from us. So I think the part of doing what we want to do, because I didn't let anybody talk me out of what I wanted to do or stop me. You know, Planet 12 wasn't, when I started building it, a lot of people were just like, what the fuck is that? Or a lot of people was like, okay, that's too retro, Law. That's not going to work. No, that's not going to work for you. I have other people got to work for. So if I literally did not believe in what I was doing or had a strong mindset of how big I knew this thing was going to be, even in its own moderation, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to y'all now. I would have been probably just gave up on my shit and just been regular like everybody else. But I knew that even though I am human and there are normal sides to me, I am not regular or normal. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, we all use the bathroom and brush our teeth like everybody, well, at least most of us do, like everybody else. You know what I mean? But when you have gifts, you can't sit on them. And that's the one thing about Scorpios. We don't sit on our vibes and on our gift. And that's another thing too. We sniff out vibes very quickly.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Lori Sand says, love you, Law. Keep grinding.
I love Lori. Thank you, love. Thank you. Appreciate you. She's a huge supporter. Her and a lot of the some of the other people who support, New Edition, New Kids on the Block, and a lot of the fans got to know me through that if they didn't know me through the Amy Winehouse or the P-Funk stuff. So it's a combination of all of that. And again, that puts me in a space that other artists can't really exercise too much, because when you're one of most of these things and then people be so shocked, it's like, oh wow, Law's a blockhead. I said, hello. My mother won first place at the Apollo Amateur Night, the night that New Kids on the Block actually debuted on that stage.
Wow.
How funny is that? How funny how God works. For me watching them and loving those guys as much as I love New Edition, and then now here I am getting ready to work on some music with Donnie Wahlberg. You know what I mean? So manifestation is real.
Absolutely. I know Miss Nancy C wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Nancy.
Go ahead, Nancy. Come on now.
Yeah. Disclaimer. I dated a Scorpio before, and I just leave that to y'all. Y'all okay. Y'all all right. Geminis are best. Bless God. But what I will say. Don't be taking a drink now. It's the truth.
I'm gonna take a sip on that one. I'm really gonna take a sip.
Okay, but what I will say, as someone, I'm a, I guess, I am a musician, but vocally. Okay. My territory is basically in the church. That's my territory. But what I can say about you, and I've ran across a lot of musicians. What I can say about you is that you are humble. And I don't know you, personally, but you are humble.
Thank you.
And would you say that's one of the key things that has helped launched you into, meeting all of these people, besides being confident? You're humble, but you know who you are, but at the same time, you ain't stuck up and you think you better than everybody and you know everything. Humbleness is what gets you. Would you say that?
You officially have made my week, because I can't even. No, seriously, that's one of the great, because this is the thing that has always been the silver lining in my career, because especially when social media happened, because what people don't understand is that, and I'm gonna say this, it's gonna blow your mind. you know, I started in this industry very young. Of course, it's a family business. You know, at the age of 5, doing shows with my mother and my grandfather and different things like that. And, you know, coming up industry, you know, like any other bright-sided kid, you know, it's all smiles and you're humble. By the time I turn 13, I'm just coming here. We're going to be extra humble and extra nice and do all these things. And when I did all these things, unfortunately, it got me no fucking place. So this, when I realized that being just humble wasn't going to work, because I realized in the end that there were too many people that were either shy or lackluster in their gifts upon that, because, you know, they have a way, because a lot of time when they use that word humble, they'll use it as an incentive to try to make you believe that you ain't supposed to think of yourself being who you are, because I'm living proof that you can be confident and don't have to step on nobody's toes and don't have to do shit like you said, arrogant, stuck up. And most of my fans will tell you, I spend more time with my fans after my show. That first thing I told them before I get up the show, I said, listen, y'all, thank you for coming out tonight. I'm going to change my shirt. I'm going to come back out. I'm going to greet everybody. And they stick around and we hang out. You know, if it's not too long, if I don't have a gig the next day, I literally will kick it whoever's there. We take pictures, you know, they sign merch, the whole bit. So anybody who's ever met me or hung with me over the last 20 years already know about my humbleness. But I'm glad that you broke it down in such a way where I have taught a lot of artists, you know, those were coming up. And I said, listen, you have to be confident, because you got to remember when social media first happened, it was interesting because, you know, I was like everybody else. I'm trying to push my music. I'm like, okay, here, I'm LAW, buy my music. And I got some fans through that. But then I realized, okay, Lord, why you not getting the multitude of fans of what you're getting? Because I realized after a while, and after watching other people's platforms, I'm like, you know what? I'm not selling my personality. All I'm selling is me. So the thing is that these people don't even know me from a can of paint. Now, I was able to get some few folks, and they like what they heard. So thank God the music was good. I always say, thank God the music was dope. But I realized if I'm gonna have a lengthy career as I go forth, and social media is a thing, people have to get to know a little bit more about my personality. So, you know, I'm wild sometimes, I'm eccentric, I'm friendly, and I have a raw Brooklyn sense of humor. So unless you come from where I come from, or if you could just not take yourself seriously, you'll be able to hang with someone like me. And a lot of people got that. So when I would post certain things about the Grammys or say, oh, that person he all flat, he sing, and he's like, wow, finally somebody who thought the same thing I thought about that person. And mind you, for me, it was just me having fun. And believe it or not, there are more people who became fans of my music, but that was because of through my tweets and my posts. They hadn't even heard my music. And a lot of people like, you know, this nigga Law talk all this shit. Let me see what he's about. And once people saw the show, this one lady, I'm not going to mention names, I respect her so much. I had a show with 424 Mob. She actually came to the show and we kicked ass that night like we always do. And she said, Mr. Worrell, come here. I have something to say to you. I said, sure. She's like, no, I'm not going to lie. When I saw your profile, when I see your posts and stuff, I'm like, he's pretty confident to talk all this stuff about what he does and whatnot. But I have to honestly say, young man, you've earned that shit. I was blown away. Like you have earned the right to speak the shit that you talk on here. And that made me feel good, because I felt like, okay, she finally got where I was coming from. Because most people, if you get too stuck in social media world, you'll believe that. But you got to remember what I was dealing with on my end. I had no publicist. I just got rid of my manager before 2004 was over. So I was my publicist. I am my manager. So if I don't make moves for me and promote myself and do the things I need to do to get myself out there, I'm wasting my time. So a lot of the fans didn't understand that until later. They just thought, okay, he's just on here talking this shit. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why, because I have to build my brand accordingly. And it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of y'all. It's simply because of the fact that I did that. So thank you for even asking that question, but even saying that so that people can understand that there is a difference between confidence, arrogance, and conceit. And always remember, it's my favorite saying, confidence is only arrogant to insecure people.
Right.
Wow.
And let me ask you this. Now, as a professional, how do you still practice? How often do you practice every day? Or do you still practice
at least
every day?
From 4 to 5 hours. And when one has the amount of time that I have, you have to kind of put it, you got to compartmentalize a lot, because, you know, I wake up and I'm like, okay, we're going to focus on singing today. And I'm done with singing. I'll just riff on my bass for a while, just kind of keep my fingers limber. And then, of course, you know, with the dance, you know, I work out, you know, like pretty much 5 days a week. So the thing is, I'm doing something. If I don't get to the gym, I have equipment here. If I'm doing something in terms of reading up and just getting my own mental together for what's going to happen when I do shows coming up, it's a constant elevation thing. You have to stay in the mix. Now, of course, do I get my rest time? Absolutely. Do I take vacations? Yes, I can, because I'm the boss of my shit, and I can literally take a vacation if I want to. So the thing is, for me, when I'm in there and I'm in this room and secluded, I'm able to get a lot of things done because there's always something new to learn. You know, I learned something. It's funny. You would think after 30 something, 40 years of doing this, that I'm like, oh, I learn something new every day about my voice, about my playing. You're never too old to learn anything. And the minute you stop learning, you asking for
See, I'm gonna have to share this to some people that I know, because this is what I try to tell people, that you never just arrive as a musician. You have to keep practicing. You never, just because you've been playing a certain instrument or singing since you was 5 and now you're 25, you think that's it. You have to keep going. So I'm glad you said that.
And to add to what you said earlier, even though it's kind of like it's not directly off about the Scorpio thing that you said. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say I'm gonna speak for Nick on this one too. You got to remember that all of us Scorpios are not the same. There's only a handful of us. Like, for example, I heard that Scorpios were jealous and possessive. That definitely ain't me. Think about it. Me and my ex-wife are still best friends after 13 years of marriage. We're still close. You know what I'm saying? So nothing about me as a man. Fuck the zodiac as a man. That's no. You do things correctly in every shape, fashion, shape, or form. Because even when she was my wife, she was never disrespected, and even to this day, I don't play that. You know, even for me, in any course of that. So also remember that there's some Scorpios that have the bad reputation, depending on, and even with a zodiac, it all depends on how one was raised. So I've always believed that there was. First of all, I don't have a reason to be jealous, and I don't possess nothing that ain't mine. So for me, I'm a direct communicator, because Scorpios, we're very direct. I don't have to play games. I don't have to, when you live a life like I live, I don't have to play games with anybody's mind. I'm very direct, and I'll tell you what it is, and then we'll work it out from there. Like, that's really the kind of person I am. Because when you're grown, you don't have to do that. When you're grown, you don't have to play those kind of games with anybody and who you are. Scorpios, we're very upfront about that. So I just want to say that real quick, because I know everybody's experience, but all Scorpios are not twisted.
Yeah. And all Geminis are wonderful. Yes.
Okay. So I ain't
say yes.
Go ahead.
Say yes.
I ain't touching that one, but go ahead.
Yes. Listen, I want to play a little bit more of your music. I really want people to check out some more of your talent. So just about 2 minutes before we wrap up, all right? This is a cover that you did, and I really enjoyed this. I want to share it with my listening family, so check it out.
Go for it.
Each day through my window, I watch her as she passes by. I say to myself, you're such a lucky guy to have a girl like her. It's truly a dream come true. Out of all the fellas in the world, she belongs to you. Ooh, but it was just my imagination running away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. Every night on my knees I pray, dear Lord, hear my plea. Don't ever let another take a love from me, or I will surely die. Her love is heavenly when her arms arms they hold me, I hear a tender rhapsody, but in reality, she doesn't even know me. But it was just my imagination once again, running away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. Rest in peace, Eddie Kendricks.
All right
That was Lawrence Wall.
then. Nice.
That's such a tongue twister for me. But I wanted to show your range, you know, and that's
Oh wow, thank you. Thank you.
what this man can do. So
Y'all pull out some great stuff. A lot of people don't pull those clips out. That's why that's why I'm over here blushing like crazy. I'm just like, wow.
I love my clips. I love my
That's excellent.
I be
Thank
covered with the
you.
clips.
Well, you can't complete without Motown. I don't trust any. I have a theory. Anybody that doesn't sing a Motown song or doesn't dance when James Brown come on, you're suspect. Get away from me.
I know that's right.
Period. Black, white, Hispanic, gay, straight or gay. I don't care. Like if you don't do any of those things when one of those things come on, I do not trust you. Get the hell away from me.
Yeah, nice
So,
read.
I want to make sure we talk about some history that you made because I feel like it's important.
Absolutely.
You were the first hip hop based artist to play at the legendary Bitter End in New York City.
Yes, I am.
Talk about how significant that milestone was for you and what it meant as far as representation for the hip hop community.
Well, I mean, you know, because the Bitter, up until I came along, the Bitter End was known for just, you know, Bob Dylan, the Eagles when they first came out, you know, a lot of rock and folk acts, and the only R&B acts they had at that time were the Isley Brothers, Maxine Brown, who's like my auntie, Curtis Mayfield, and of course the legendary Donny Hathaway, who recorded his live album, which became like the vocal R&B Bible for all male singers. He recorded half at the Troubadour, but the other half was at the Bitter End. And that actually was the reason why I wanted to play on the Bitter End stage. Because at that time, I already had played damn near every club in New York already. You know, Cafe Wild, we done been through all these places. And I'm like, the Bitter End to make that history of my hybrid. But of course, they didn't welcome hip hop acts there. So the thing is interesting because thanks to a guy by the name of Pete Fogel, who had known me since I was 15. So he knew my family. He seen me when I was at the Bar Bat back in the day in New York City. For those who grew up in New York City club culture, you know what the La Bar Bat was on West 57. And I had been bringing my demos there. I gave my EPK, and I was wondering why they wasn't getting back to me because every other club, you know, they would get back to me. I'm like, why are they not getting back to me? And then I kept finding out, I was like, yeah, they don't really allow hip hop there like that. I'm like, well, that's crazy because I'm not just hip hop. They just give me a chance and actually listen and see how we blend all these things together and the whole thing. And Peter Fogel, thanks to him, you know, he became the talent manager, and he asked the other guys, he's like, so who do we got? Like, hard we booked today. We keep getting this guy named Law, man. He's like a hit, and he's like, hold on. Is he from Brooklyn? He's like, yeah, you know him. He said, this is the same Law we're talking about. Let me see a picture. And he saw my picture. He's like, no, book him right away. Y'all don't know. This kid, he said, but he like a hip hop guy. He said, no, that's only part of what he does. You have to see his whole show.
Yeah.
And I think the first night that he booked me there, the wild night, we went literally from funk rock to hip hop. I did like an 8-minute guitar solo, and I did a few splits on the stage, and we did a 90s New Edition New Jack Swing tribute, like all in one setting. And from that moment on, we cracked the door open for all of the other hybrid bands. There were a lot of bands who were like us, very progressive, you know, white and black, that were mixing the hip hop with the jazz and the funk rock and all that shit. So, you know, I'm the first hip hop based artist. Up until I came along, they tried to say, well, we had Arrested Development. I said, yeah, but that's not, when you think of hip hop, that's not the first people you think of. See, I'm jeans and sneakers. I can, as you see, I can do the suit and tie thing too. Y'all see my Instagram. Y'all already know I could dress up jazzy at any given moment. But for the most part, this is really who I am. I'm jeans, t-shirt, hoodie, and you don't expect to see no Brooklyn dude in no hoodie blazing a guitar solo. And that was part of my plan anyway, because I wanted to kill the notion of what a musician or artists had to look like and say little program. And honestly, at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, for me, it was all about paying homage to my heroes, Curtis Mayfield, the Ozzy Brothers, and Donny Hathaway, because they all played on that same stage. The brick wall hasn't changed, none of that. It's been that way for over 60 years. So to be a part of history. So if the bitter end ever closes down and they have to write a book about it, we're going to be mentioned in that book because we broke ground there as indie artists. So I'm proud. That's one of my biggest achievements. I will forever remain proud of. And yes, I post about it often. That's Black history to me. I don't give a shit because people don't understand.
Read it.
Black people, our history has been buried too long, not even included in the book. So this is why even now in this section, I don't play when it comes to my credit for what I've done. I'm coming for mine.
Right. Yes, you should.
Absolutely.
You always.
If you don't, they'll be telling. They're not going to tell your history. They'll be telling his story.
Yeah.
Where you've been or what you didn't do. So I made sure that you understood that. So even for you bringing it up in this interview, it makes me proud that that you've done enough of your research and your homework on me to understand how real this brand is and the things that we've done. Because the bitter end, Lady Gaga was the last star to come out the bitter end. She was the last huge star to come from that. Yeah, she started there. Nobody, she wasn't signed to nothing. Like Lady Gaga used to come there with just a piano, her whole image looking like David Bowie, the female bit David Bowie, blowing bubbles on stage, and nobody knew she was signed to 2 different labels. Nobody knew what to do with her until Interscope and those guys came along. So I feel very proud to be part of all of the artists that played on that stage who I just happen to be fans of. So to hold my mark as the first hip hop based artist, and I say it proudly because they didn't even want anything resembling hip hop until on that piece. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for breaking that barrier. You did that.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me.
But that's also inspirational to those that have started but don't know how to push forward. And only if you can believe in yourself and you have that perseverance, you're showing them that blueprint. So that's a great thing. Great thing.
I was going to say that too, because, even in the corporate gig industry, which I'm a part of too, shout out to Element Music, shout out to Brooklyn Law, my corporate band outside of Planet 12. The thing is, you got to remember, there was me in the mix of all this, shopping my music. We had a few offers, but the contracts were bullshit. And then everybody else just closed the door and just said no. Meanwhile, I'm seeing incredible acts of my same caliber, like Outkast and the Roots and different people who are pretty much, I said, we along the same lines of what we do, but they can't see it in us. And then for a while, I'm looking at God, like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what am I not doing? And then that's when God made me realize, no. Everything you have is right. But you see, you're not going to have the typical industry story. So guess what? You don't need a major record label deal. So I became a valuable commodity within myself to where I'm an indie guy, but as you read off the list and you read it from your own paper, all the major guys know me. You can actually go to my and mention my name. You could actually go to Rosanna Arquette and mention my name. You could actually hang out with Donnie Wahlberg and bring my name up and let them say what they say about me. I don't pay people to co-sign my work and my thing. And think about that. No major label, no management, no publicist, and yet I persevered because I let the talent do the talking as well as my gift of gab, because I believe that all those things go hand in hand. Because, like I said, if I just played humble and just decided to be like, it's a little something, like, no, check it out. I think you'll like it. Like that was always my take on it. Because if I just sat down and played meek about what I did, again, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. So the thing is, I tell artists all the time, it's like I said here on this platform, I am living proof that it can be done. I've seen so many people give up on their dreams when people don't get it right away or people don't understand. There's so many other stories of people that went through the same thing that I went through and were able to persevere. And those became my heroes in the process. And I'm just like, well, see, there you go. I'm like, if I would have gave up on my shit, imagine what wouldn't be. Imagine how far I wouldn't known I've gotten. But every single time that God opened the door, whether it was with Lionel Richie or Donnie Wahlberg or Jeffrey Osborne or Dionne Warwick, any other people who I worked with, I just sit. That's why I said sometimes I just go like this. I'm like, and I did this all with no compromise of who I am, what I stand for. I didn't kiss nobody's ass. I ain't doing no other shit either. Like I've always been. That's the thing about me. I've always when you're a real man that stands on principles,
That's it.
It's
Yes.
a different thing, and people don't get that right away. When people used to always ask me, like, "Wow, I'm surprised. You know, with all your talent, you should have been something." I said, "But do y'all know the industry?" A lot of my fans learned about the industry through my education with me teaching them, and then once they learn, it's like, "Oh, so that's why we never heard a third album from so and so." I say, "Yeah, people don't just give up. You gotta remember when you realize that the American dream version of the record industry is not what you think it is." See, I got away skate. I got away clean because the thing is that most of my friends and some of y'all who may know that had hits and all that kind of stuff, but you don't know the story about what happened to those guys after those few records. But I do because I was there, and I saw what they went through. I was like, that ain't gonna be me, because guess what? I got my own publishing. I'm not selling it to nobody, and I'm keeping my thing contained for as long as I can with everything else. And I feel proud, because imagine if I would have had to owe people money, or I couldn't record an album because I'm locked into a 20-year I mean, we saw what happened to these guys. You already know.
Yeah.
$87. I say about that. That couldn't have been me. But I understood. They basically walked so I can run. So I tell that all the time. You know, thank God.
And only until you know better is when you do better.
You do better. And I feel like even more so now that people get it, because now you see the industry has changed so much. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you do not need, and I've told a couple of people who I won't mention, people who y'all know, I would tell them, I'm like, y'all don't need a record label anymore. If you want to get a record label, perfect example. I had Queen Vanessa Williams on my, the first Black Mix America. She said that was one of the best interviews she ever did, because we got into her catalog. A lot of people don't even ask her about her music. They always just stuck to say the best Black. I'm like, that's not her only hit. Y'all do realize that, right? It's a whole catalog she has. And at the time, she said that I've been wanting to get back to the music, but you know, it's hard because the industry and I don't have a label. And I told Vanessa on the show, I said, well, you know, Vanessa, you don't need a label. You know, you have enough of what you do and what you earn to put out yourself. So fast forward, 2004. Vanessa Williams has a #3 record right now on Billboard's dance charts with her own label. And she reunited with my mentor, Kipper Jones. That's the man that wrote all the Brandy stuff. I Want to Be Down, Baby. That's my mentor. And that's who he wrote The Right Stuff and Comfort Zone for her. So they got it after 20, 30 something years and got a #3 record on the charts on Vanessa's own record label. You can't tell me that shit ain't real.
You are helping so many people, and I don't know if you realize it, but seriously, you are helping so many people, musicians, singers. I can talk about this subject for hours, because you are really helping. You really are.
Knowledge is power, but if you don't bench press it, you ain't moving shit. So at the end of the day, knowledge is not what you know, it's what you apply. So I could sit here. If I sat here and talked all day and I had nothing to show for my success, and again, because y'all read the resume already, that's not written by anybody. That's because y'all seen it for yourselves. It's too much documentation on YouTube and all my pages for y'all not to know how real it is. So I'm not just on here running my mouth. This is gems that people can use, because I don't just talk the shit, I walk the shit too. I'm from Brooklyn. That's what we known for.
And we don't even have time to get into your diverse portfolio. I'm talking about the TV network.
You gotta come back.
40 of them. I'm talking about the video games. This brother does it all. You don't even have
you gotta come back.
Come back anytime. But I mean, in a nutshell, you said it best. I just said it more so. You know, the thing is with the lights and all that, because God provided me an avenue because of my publishing, like I said earlier. The thing was, my grandfather, you know, I have all his gold records of the stuff that he done, but he used to always say, they gave me the gold record, but they took away the gold. Because the thing is that he didn't get what he was really supposed to get. So he started schooling on publishing. He said, become a writer and a publisher, because you get 2 checks for 1 song. If you're just a writer, all you get 1 check. So when my music got played on MTV and all that other stuff, and I saw 1 check coming to me, I'm like, okay, this is pretty nice. And I saw another thing. I'm like, hold up. Gramps was right. So again, knowledge is power. And trust me, as a father of 4 and a grandfather of 3, it helped. It helped on so many different levels. You know what I mean? Like just having that information and knowing that I can get more money when I'm not touring, and just learning about every aspect of licensing and syncing and things like that. These things are available, but it doesn't work until you work it, and you got to be consistent. And most importantly, you got to get patience. My advice to everybody that comes in the industry, I say all the time, if you don't have a strong spirit, stay home and do karaoke. stay home at your local church and sing, because this industry on every level is not built for the weak and the ones who don't want to grow.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good
Dude.
stuff.
Oh,
Can I give 2 shout outs? Karen Martin, she said she's been following you for 3 years. She loves you immensely.
Oh,
And Thomasina said to tell you, hey. But yes, that's Thomasina.
hey.
But yes, but you know, it's just so much. And only until you can make those boundaries and show where you were, where you are, and where you're going, it's only when the others will look and say, damn, if I know that. But now that they know, now it's time to change.
What you gonna do?
Know?
What you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's very important.
Thank you so much. I mean, this was very, very good, very inspirational.
yes.
This is what I call having tools in the toolbox.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Because all of the things that you just put out for anyone that's listening, that's starting, even for the ones that have went through and some of the things that they're going through now. You know, I don't want to say too much, but like Elijah Baker and them, how they're going through the things that they had to go through with you know? So even now with the things that you're saying and the way that the music industry and everything is going now, for those that's coming out and want to do it, these are gems that they need to go into that toolbox, take some of those tools and use them and to go forward. That they don't get messed up like some of them did in the past. So this was educational, inspirational, and supportive.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Wonderful. Before you go, let the people know what you're working on or what's coming out next.
Woo! Whole bunch of stuff, bro. I got a jazz fusion album that's almost finished. Starring the incredible Grammy award-winning bassist. If you're a jazz head like me, then you know who John Patitucci is. I don't have to say nothing else if you're really deep into jazz. I also got Joyce Talbot of the Good Girls, the legendary, iconic 90s Motown group. I have stuff I'm working on with her. Also, I'm going to be doing some stuff with the amazing CeCe Peniston. We're going to work on some stuff together too. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also, just recently got hired by the incredible Karen White. Yes. A long time big sister. So I'm going to be doing some work with her for her show and things like that. I have 3 other albums coming out, but I also got a huge show on July 12th in Houston with my boy Kenny Wilkins. Shout out to Hills Entertainment for helping to make that happen, along with Amanda and a few of the other people like Rafif and Raven. These are all great friends of mine, the Blockhead community. That make that show happen. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of shows, a lot of features. You know, like I said, I got 4 different projects coming out. I'm very excited. And my social political album is going to come out. Yeah, oh yeah. It's going to be the only album like this where I basically put everything on the line of what I believe, what I stand for, because every other album I do is going to go back to the regular love party, you know, fun stuff. But that's an album in the works for 2 years. We finally finished it. So it's going to be called Humanity 101.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we're getting deep with it. I'm a son of a Black Panther mother, so there's no way in hell I'm not like that part. Part showing in that resistance in terms of that. So that comes out on Juneteenth. We're working on that now.
Real soon. Send me that when it comes out so that I can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You talking my language.
It's a lot of good music getting ready to come out on Juneteenth. It's a lot of good music. Layla Hathaway's her album is coming out in June.
That's my big sis. I'm gonna be working on some stuff with her before the year is out too. That's my, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Layla gonna come with it. You already know. That girl don't know.
Yeah.
When she made the announcement, I'm like, and she started laughing. I said, can't wait to hear what you did on this one. I know you're coming with some shit. She always does. So I'm looking forward to that too as well.
Yeah.
Well, with so much on your plate, we really appreciate you spending your evening with us. We really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. You gotta come back again, okay?
Anytime. Just let me know. I thank y'all ladies so much for inviting me on your platform. And as courageous, strong, incredible Black queen women, keep doing what you're doing. You already have full support on every level, because our women are not protected enough, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Father of 3 grown daughters and a granddaughter. I take that very seriously on all accounts with everything and fiber of my being. So, you know, to see my Black women doing stuff like this and keeping the patrol and existence, all that, it makes me proud that we have more platforms. Wow. So thank you.
We thank you for that.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone. We'll see you next time. All right.
Thank you.
All right. That was wonderful, ladies.
Yes, it was.
That was a good interview.
It really was.
Not to say that the others weren't, but these were some good tools. Good tools.
Yes.
And just to believe, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just to think that if he didn't have that perseverance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's cool. That's cool.
Well, you know what? That's our time. So we're going to close out with a Law performance, if that's okay with you, ladies. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to check out Law. I'm telling you, he's so energetic on stage, and I just want the audience to really get a taste for this brother's talent. Okay. If you don't already know, I know a lot of his supporters are in the house, and thank you so much for tapping in and jumping in the comment section. We really appreciate you. But check out this performance. This is Pure Love and America 100. Oh, I think it's a blend of America and 100 Pure Love. I don't know. We're about to get into it, and y'all gonna love it. Check this out. We're gonna close the show with a little more Law. Check it out.